Green, so it must be work and go for it.
Okay. I have a reading from a letter from Paul to the Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. My thoughts on that is, have you ever felt like food was calling the shots? I have. I can't tell you how many times my food cravings led me to a box of Little Debbie's, a large bag of Lay's potato chip, and washing it down with some sweet tea. After it was all gone, not knowing what had just really happened, you have the right to eat that way, but it's sure not going to be beneficial. It's not good for your physical or your emotional and spiritual health. Does God care about what we eat? It never used to occur to me to consider God in my food choices. My stomach was always my guide. So if it was screaming chocolate, I willingly obeyed. How to glorify God in your eating? By making healthy food choices that glorify God is much more about a relationship with Him and others with the food. It is important to lay down heavy boundaries with food. The boundaries are there for our good. The fact is, carbs harm our body. Carbs and sugar affect your energy, your emotions, and stresses. We were created with a purpose, and it sure is difficult to live that out when you have no energy or self-respect. It's about treating your body correctly, and because it's your unique gift from God. Thank you for listening.
And this is where Darren and Leslie both know that word purpose. I had a lot of trouble with going through a growth track. I walk out of here crying, like, what's my purpose? What does God want me for? And in finding my purpose, I don't want to go back to being her.
Yeah.
This is me 2.5 years ago. My purpose is to try to keep anybody else from this one. This one can't be. I am too. This woman. Darren, I refuse to let you turn into this woman.
Yeah. He's turning into that woman.
Yeah, and but this is my purpose. I found out, thank you, Leslie, that my trifecta all came into line here in this church. Getting my head right. You know, I've seen a counselor and coming here and praying about it. Finding my purpose, you know, my soul with God. And then doing keto. It has all come about to being this. And here we are. So, anyways, our first short video we're going to watch is Dr. Saivez. And I like the way that Darren put it. Does he ever smile? So serious. And the ironic thing is he has a little boy about 4 years old. And his little boy has that same look about his face. But he's a happy kid, but he's just, You want to turn Dr. on?
Give it a second to warm up.
Oh, sure.
We all need that. Need a second to warm up.
Well, the audio doesn't come on immediately when you turn the switch on, so it does take a minute before.
There, this is Dr. Robert Saivez, the Carb Addiction Doc, back with another episode in the mini-series Diabetes. This episode is called Understanding and Treating Type 2 Diabetes to Remission. I don't like the word cure, because it can come back if you stop doing what you need to do. But remission is possible, and remission is highly recommended. We have normal blood indices and have no disease. If you'd like to be treated as a single patient or as a group of patients, If you have an interest in working more with me, please text me to 561-517-0642 to set up an appointment. We can do it virtually, telephonically, or on Skype, or we can do it in person in my office in Florida. So let's look at type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is actually very, very simple to understand. When you eat sugar and starch, and as you probably heard before, it doesn't matter how the sugar and starch goes in your face. As you eat sugar and starch, your blood sugar elevates, and your pancreas is then asked to do a job it wasn't primarily designed to do. Your pancreas is asked to produce a hormone called insulin, not to control the production of sugar by your liver, but now to force the liver to convert sugar into fat. And as long as the liver can very rapidly remove sugar from your bloodstream and turn it into fat, you may gain weight, which is the cause of obesity. But as long as the liver can empty that bloodstream, you don't become diabetic. However, what happens to the systems in the liver is they become less and less sensitive to insulin. And over time, they become resistant to insulin. And at first, your pancreas can produce more insulin to force the liver to do its job. But eventually, it gets to a point where you cannot produce more insulin, and the liver's resistance to that insulin is greater than the insulin you can produce. And what happens then is slowly over time, that sugar builds up in the bloodstream. And at that point, your body starts getting damaged. Your vascular system and every organ that gets provided with blood gets damaged by chronic excessive blood sugar. And it doesn't have to be very high. 100, 110 is enough to cause that damage. Remember, your blood sugar should be around 70 to 80 for the most part as the resting blood sugar. But as you put those carbohydrates in your mouth, as they enter the bloodstream, as your blood sugar builds up and your liver can't keep up with the removal, that blood sugar builds up and it starts to damage your blood system. So now you reach a peak of insulin. So you've got hyperinsulinemia, huge production of insulin, and even that huge production of insulin can't keep pace with the amount of sugar you're putting in. And slowly over time, as that blood sugar builds up, it starts to damage the blood vessels and also the blood cells, especially the red blood cells. And when sugar attaches to the hemoglobin in those red blood cells, it glycosylates them. And we measure that with a test called your hemoglobin A1C. It's a percentage of your red blood cells that's damaged. And as your hemoglobin A1C goes up, the traditional mechanism, or the traditional diagnosis is insulin resistance or prediabetes. And once the percentage of affected red blood cells hits 6.5, you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That is the traditional way of doing it. But here's the key thing that you've got to understand. Normal A1C is about 4.8 to 5.2. And anything above that is the first measure of damage to your body. So even if your A1C is 5.5 or 5.7 or 6, you may not be diagnosed with diabetes, but your body is still incurring the damage of that diabetogenic effect. And that's the problem. So hyperinsulinemia, insulin resistance to that elevated level of insulin is the most important thing. We don't really have a name for that yet, but I call that diabetes. I don't call diabetes the 6.5 number. When I talk to my patients, that's diabetes, because diabetes is the damage that's happening. It isn't a number. The reason why they, the outside world, call it 6.5 is that's when they believe you can start treating people. You want to start treating them even lower. So it's very simple to understand. Irrespective of what your A1C is, whether you're diabetic or not, the damage is happening, and the damage is happening exclusively based upon what you put in your face. When you put chronic excessive amounts of sugar and starch in your face on a regular basis, over time, that sugar damages the blood vessels and the organs that the blood vessels supply. That is diabetes. Forget about medical treatment. Most of my diabetic patients and pre-diabetic patients come in on a slew of medications. The most important thing to understand is that it's your relationship with carbohydrates that causes harm. The second important thing to understand is the human body functions independent of the consumption of carbohydrates. Nobody has to drink alcohol. Nobody has to drink carbohydrates. Yes, they have a wonderful drug-like effect to make us feel happy and relaxed, just like alcohol. But if you're suffering damage from alcohol or from diabetes, quit the sugar, quit the alcohol. So the principles in our practice is to help you to treat the cause of the problem, which is chronic excessive carbohydrate consumption, for the management, the dysfunctional management of your emotions. More about that in other episodes. Once you understand that and you begin to eliminate carbohydrates from your diet, you cannot have type 2 diabetes. You cannot have type 2 diabetes if you don't eat carbohydrates. And the diabetes gets better very, very quickly if you're early on in the progression of that disease. You've been a type 2 diabetic for 30 years, you may actually have damaged some of those cells in the pancreas, although that's a theory, not necessarily proven. So it may be slower before you get better. But everybody with a true diagnosis of type 2 diabetes can put their disease into remission. No damage with normal A1Cs and normal blood sugar indices if they don't eat carbohydrates. And that's the principle of the ketogenic diet treatment for diabetes. Get rid of the sugar, eat fat so that you're burning fat as a fuel source, not sugar, and you're not converting protein to sugar. Maybe just a little bit to provide that baseline sugar, but you're living off fat. If you are fat adapted, you cannot be type 2 diabetic. And what happens is, as the tissues in your body, it takes about 3 months, about 60 to 90 days, for the tissues in your body to become comfortable for the biologic systems that use ketones, that use fat to ramp up, and the ones that use sugar, it's cells that can use either to go down. So you can get into ketosis where you're burning fat in 2 or 3 days. But it takes 60 to 90 days to fat adapt, where your tissues preferentially use ketones. And really what's happening in the background, because you're learning to live off fat more and more, ketone bodies, fat you're eating in your own fat, your insulin resistance goes down. And the cells become more and more sensitive to insulin. So you need less insulin and you need less blood sugar for the body to survive intact. And if you can reduce your production of sugar to basal liver levels by the liver, enough to keep you alive, maybe 4 or 5 grams of sugar at any one time, and you're insulin sensitive, that insulin is not controlling glucagon rather than controlling your blood sugar. Once you reach a state of insulin sensitivity, all that damage from diabetes goes away. So you reduce the harm, you reduce the inflammation, you reduce the cancer risk, you reduce the damage to every organ in your body if you cut off those carbohydrates. But you've got to sustain it. You go back to those carbohydrates, you destroy everything. That's why we use the word remission, not cure. No carbohydrates, no type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is where your liver no longer responds to the maximum amount of insulin your body can produce. And insulin resistance and prediabetes is somewhere just below that, but the damage is still happening. And it's very simple to understand. No carbohydrate consumption, no type 2 diabetes. And if only endocrinologists could understand that simple thing. Yes, we have to help our patients to understand why they consume the carbohydrates, the emotional management side, the drug addiction side. That's why I'm a carb addiction doctor. But ultimately, no matter how addicted you are, your survival depends on your divorce from your best friend, sugar and starch, carbohydrates. And if you do that, you cannot be diabetic and you cannot be obese. It takes time to recover, but recovery is absolutely possible. The challenge for me as a doctor is I don't have a pill. I don't have an operation. I don't have something I can do to you. All I can give you is information, motivation, encouragement, addiction management. But ultimately, you caused your type 2 diabetes. You can make it go into remission and keep it there by getting into a ketogenic lifestyle and letting go of carbohydrates. And then the final key point is this. All diets have some allowance. When it comes to addiction, there is no allowance. So the goal every day for carbohydrate consumption is as close to zero as you can get. As close to zero as you can get. Anytime you eat carbohydrates, that's not a cheat day. That's not allowance. That's a relapse. And that relapse is measurable in your bloodstream. So type 2 diabetes is very simple. No carbohydrates, no type 2 diabetes, no damage. There's no magic to that. And I will take on anybody who wants to argue with me about that. You bring your science and your facts and your data, I'll bring mine. Tim Noakes did this in South Africa. He won twice. And Tim Noakes His father died of type 2 diabetes. He himself, despite being a 70-time marathon completer, was a type 2 diabetic because of carb loading. When he got rid of the carbohydrates completely, his diabetes went into remission. So we have this massive pile of science and evidence. The guys that treat, or the people that treat diabetes with medications have zero evidence. Zero evidence because they never, ever get people into remission. We do it every day. If you're interested to learn more, if you want my help or our program's help, please text me to 517-0642. We can set up a virtual consultation online or telephonically, or in person in my offices in Jacksonville or in West Palm Beach. Treat your diabetes to remission and keep it there. Good luck.
He says it like it is. There's no misunderstanding his beliefs and what he teaches.
It's hardcore.
Yeah, but I think some of us need that. And I think that's why I chose him to be my doctor. It's because I needed to hear it just like that. And I don't pull many punches either. Ken is the recipient of many of them, my discussions.
I like how you said if you carb load or something, that's not a cheat day. That's
Yeah.
That's like, that'll hit somebody hard.
You know, that's like the alcoholic takes that drink.
Yeah.
They have to start all over from square one. Having been raised by a recovering alcoholic, my mom was sober 30 years when she died, and at the time was working for the Alaska Native population on alcohol abuse and substance abuse. But I was raised with her being that alcoholic, and I've told the story of her one winter drinking cough medicine all winter long because it had alcohol in it at the time. There was no alcohol available in the little city I lived in remote Alaska. So I can compare my food addiction to her alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
And that's
how he treats it as an addiction too. It's not just, it's really, it is.
yeah.
Sugar addiction, it's just as bad as throwing eggs, trying to come off her.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I still struggle with it at times. I don't give in.
Not the heroin.
No.
I know. We do need to clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I struggle with it still, but I leave it alone. It's a quick thought and it goes just as quick, and especially when you're in the grocery stores and you see all the bright colors.
Yeah.
That's the stuff.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way he really gets you thinking. Makes me want to just do more searching and more research and whatever. So, his wife also has YouTube. He's carb addiction doc. She is a carb addiction mom. I don't think their 4-year-old boy has a channel yet, but, so yeah, it's interesting. Just like Dr. Barry, his wife Nisha has a channel on YouTube, and it's just Nisha. And she does a lot of cooking meals and just day-to-day living. And it's not proven as to why, but since he had started this, I'm not even sure, 8-10 years ago, speaking keto, getting away from the former beliefs of the diet, their home was torched. It's in court now. They've arrested the person who burnt their home down, and then shortly thereafter, his clinic was torched. So I look at that and I think, well, shoot, all they did was kick me off Facebook, so, and who was it that said, I think it was Dr. Barry on the cruise that said, it's people like us talking this lifestyle
Yeah.
does more good than him as a doctor telling you as a patient or you as a patient. So that helps drive me. Okay, the second video, Dr. Westman, yeah. I like knowing he's indebted to me. He borrowed $100, paid it back, but there, yes, and Margaritaville and, where were we? Cozumel, yeah, where he came and hit us up to borrow some money because he forgot his on the ship. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and see what he has to say. It's just a very short one. I'll grab.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman. I'm an associate professor of medicine at Duke University Medical Center. I'm past president of the Obesity Medicine Association, and I'm director of the Lifestyle Medicine Clinic at Duke. I've been using a low-carb keto diet for about 20 years in clinical research and in clinical care. The purpose of this video series is to help you learn and understand the benefits of a low-carb keto lifestyle. It may be for you or a loved one. The series will address different medical conditions, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and how to look at a poor lipid panel. We'll also give some quick pointers on how to get started in a simple way for a keto lifestyle. This video will address type 2 diabetes. Did you know that 100 years ago, the low-carb keto diet or lifestyle was used to treat diabetes? Yeah, and not many doctors know this.
I want this
Here's
book if anybody finds it.
Piece of a textbook from 1923, and in there, also a textbook of medicine, the treatment for diabetes was a 10-gram carbohydrate per day diet. And we use a 20-gram diet in our clinic per day. So we have to get more than this. And so when doctors didn't have any medications for type 2 diabetes, they understood that by changing the diet, you could actually treat and fix diabetes. So there was never a study showing that medication treatment of diabetes, type 2 diabetes that is, there was never a study that showed that medication treatment was better than using this diet, the diet that we're talking about today, the low-carb keto diet. And that's why it's so effective for treating type 2 diabetes, because before there were any medications for type 2 diabetes, this is what doctors do. And I find that it's even better than using medications because you can actually fix the diabetes. Did you know that you can actually fix type 2 diabetes in most cases? I'd say 90%. Yes, and the reason for that is that when you address the underlying root causes of diabetes, the blood sugar elevation contribution from the food, and the blood sugar elevation contribution from insulin resistance, which is from excess weight, body weight, then you can actually fix type 2 diabetes. The low-carb keto diet is fantastic to treat type 2 diabetes because it lowers the dietary carbohydrate contribution to raising the blood sugar, and then it also leads to weight loss or loss of the insulin resistance that was actually causing the pre-diabetes and the type 2 diabetes in the first place. So until you lose the weight, if you have extra weight, you may not see total resolution of the diabetes, but not to worry, all it takes is some time. I wonder if I should explain what diabetes is. I mean, it's really just an elevation of blood sugar, of blood glucose, all day long. Normally, when someone eats carbohydrate, the body doesn't like the glucose elevation from the carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, the sugars, and the starches. So the body sends out insulin to lower the blood glucose. Now that blood glucose goes into the cells, and some of it's used for energy, and some of it's turned into fat if there's extra energy around, because we store extra energy as fat. And so insulin is what lowers the blood glucose, but it also is the fattening hormone. So you get into this situation where if you feed someone with diabetes carbohydrates, it raises the blood sugar, if you give a medicine to lower the blood sugar, it can be actually fattening, especially if you give insulin, which is the fattening hormone. You give an insulin shot, and that's why treating diabetes with insulin makes no sense. In fact, if you look in the blood of people with type 2 diabetes, their blood insulin level is already too high. So you're not going to fix type 2 diabetes by giving more insulin to someone who already has insulin at a high level with insulin resistance. Insulin resistance means the insulin isn't working as it should. So the good news is that with the proper management, you can actually reverse and fix type 2 diabetes. Of course, the doctors today, I mean, they all should give you this knowledge, and you should be told by your doctor that if you want to go down the lifestyle route, you can fix the diabetes. Sadly, most doctors are not informing all their patients about this. And then the final criticism, I guess I would say, is doctors say that no one can stick to a lifestyle like that. Well, that's just not true. So if you find a doctor who can help you stick to it, you find social support systems. It's never been easier to do a low-carb keto lifestyle than today, because of all of the support systems that are available, even new products that are available in the stores. So you can actually fix type 2 diabetes, which is pretty exciting. There's no more happy patient in my clinic than one that I can get off of insulin. They're no longer shooting insulin shots. And then they're no longer checking their blood glucose with those finger stick things because they don't have diabetes anymore. It's pretty fun. Now, if you're thinking about using a low-carb keto diet and you have type 2 diabetes, please be careful. The blood sugars can drop immediately on the first day. So you have to be monitoring the blood glucose very carefully, ideally with a continuous glucose monitor, so you'll know the minute or 5 minute variation of the blood sugar. But you can also do it by just checking the blood sugars frequently, 4 times a day. Recommendation is usually enough. But if you don't know how to do this, or it seems complicated, use the advice of someone who's trained in doing this. You know, if you went to the gym, you get a personal trainer, you change your lifestyle and talk about diabetes, you got to get a personal expert to help you do that. So please be careful if you're taking medicines for diabetes or high blood pressure, because not that the diet's harmful, just the medications can become too strong very fast. So the low-carb keto lifestyle is excellent for type 2 diabetes because it addresses food contribution to the elevated blood glucose and also the underlying insulin resistance from the excess body weight. Finally, of course, with any lifestyle change, please consult your doctor or someone trained in how to do this. It's very effective, and the right hands is safe and effective, and it's really exciting to use a low-carb keto lifestyle to treat diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, and other medical conditions like that, which will be addressed in the other videos.
I really enjoyed listening to his videos. I think spending that week on the cruise and just getting to know, and he seems so prim and proper. You ought to see him cut the rug dancing. Then he admitted he's taken dance lessons. Yeah. The handout today for you guys to enjoy, read, absorb, is actually from it is from this doctor.
Okay.
So I will make sure this weekend if I see him that I will tell him he owes me some copying fees or something for handing, and then he'll just tell me, have him buy my book, or some sarcastic remark. Yeah. So any more questions in regards to the diabetes? I know I've given you lots to think about, lots of resources hopefully to go to with the information I sent out. And I know last week we did have a little discussion in regards to the cholesterol, and you were surprised at, let's see, my HDL levels. I actually printed out my labs from in January of 2023 to 12/31 of 2023. So I don't know what the actual, August 16th, right there it is. And then July 6th of 2020. My HDLs in 2020, before I started keto, was 64. My HDLs in August of this year, 129.2. If you want to review, my cholesterol is now 320 and it was 204. I'm not the least bit worried about my 320 on my cholesterol.
Right, because it's HDL.
Right. Yeah, I've got high density going on, and that's what we need. Let's see, cardiac risk in 2020 was 3.2. My cardiac risk now is 2.5. And I'm not taking statins. So, this is my whole total labs for, because I know that what I had put up on the screen was just my typing of them, and I wanted to verify that I hadn't typed any numbers in wrong, and that anything I have to say, I honestly think is the truth. But I make mistakes, lots of them. And then we have all kinds of labs that we haven't gone back over yet to present. We will one day. Oh, something else. Recipes. Did you guys try any of them that I handed out? Okay.
Looking forward to this next week.
Okay. Keto corn syrup. We now have hard candy at home. I tried to make the keto corn syrup, and his sister and niece and grandnephew was there, and they said it's supposed to brown up, and I'm thinking brown syrup, and I keep cooking and stirring. When I let it cool down, I don't know if I had used too much tarragon in it, cooked it too long, whatever. We have chunks of hard candy that's made keto style. The egg salad, that was a hit. Everybody really liked it. And the garlic parmesan wings are going to be a regular on our the 3 cheese dip. I actually made it for noodle sauce. I use the egg life wrap, egg whites. They're about yay big around, and they're just egg whites. And I cut them into little strips and make them into noodles. And I use
For your lasagna, right?
yes, and I used them on my lasagna that you got to try. And let's see, there was a couple things that we didn't get to, but it was fun experimenting with those. And I didn't record it. And the waffle batter. We made a lot of waffles, and it's funny is his sister wouldn't eat any of our eggs because our chickens live in our backyard and lay these eggs, or our quail lay these eggs in our garage. It's like, that's a little weird. I can't eat those eggs. She scarfed up on waffles that was mostly eggs.
From our birds.
Yeah.
And this, she said, if you don't like blue cheese, what would you substitute that with anything? Or?
I used sharp cheddar
Oh, okay.
because I'd had some blue cheese and something else. And that's what all of these recipes, just play with them and experiment. So let's see here. Darren.
Yes.
What's going on with church? We had
Oh, yeah.
baptisms.
Baptisms are coming up this weekend. Also, we won a growth track, if anybody's interested. And then.
You'll find him right here in the corner.
The week from Saturday is the second service Saturday, if anybody wants to sign up. I'm not sure what the project is.
City of Findlay.
What they're doing.
What is that again?
Wait, say it again? The second Saturday of every month, they do a second Saturday of serve day. You can sign up for. They're serving the city of Findlay this week. I'm not sure exactly what.
It entails you can go to Serve FN, or no, you can text Serve FN to the 419-419-0707, and they'll send you a link to sign up, or you can just check your CedarCreek app. There should be somewhere on there to sign up.
Okay. Yeah.
I signed up for Growth Track.
Me too, I'm doing this side.
Yeah.
Have you guys done it before?
No.
Oh, it's a good one, it's all new. It's random. That's why I'm doing it again.
Is this room gonna be big?
We'll make it.
Yeah, they've only got 7 people, I think, signed up right now, but you can also just walk up and.
That's what we're gonna do, and then I was like,
Doesn't matter.
you're supposed to be signing up for that, and I just looked on the app.
Yeah, signing up gives us an idea of how many to expect, but.
Do they record it?
It uses video content that we're not supposed to send the links out to the videos. Because then, people will click on the growth track.
I was just wondering, because I'm starting to job in them, and I know we're going to say it.
Oh, you have to work on Sundays?
No, I'm pretty sure you're gonna need it though.
For most of them, I started on the 22nd.
If you miss a week, you can always.
Yeah, you can make it up any month. You don't have to do them all in order. You could start, you could do them in a random order. I started, the first time I took it, I started on week 2 and just went for consecutive weeks, but some people do whatever they can, one month, come back and make them up, and it's not even necessarily in the same month.
Okay.
I had to attend over 2 months to get all mine in because I had missed one the first month.
Nice.
Yeah, they really don't, the last 3 all deal with different elements of your purpose, your personality, your passions, and your place. And then week 1 is just the general knowing God, information on knowing God. So they really don't necessarily build on each other, although now they start the personality exam, do a personality test, if you will. They do the DISC assessment in week 1 instead of week 2 now, so they broke them up to make it easier to get out on time, because week 2 used to be a real long week. But yeah, so, and like they say here, they want to put you in a place where you will thrive, so they don't want to, there's no pressure to join any serving teams or anything. You can just talk to people if you want. If you don't want, you can go ahead and leave. If you like your next step is not yet to serve, you can go.
Sure.
You can do whatever you feel like your next step is. They cover other things like groups and stuff like that.
And there's no pressure on it.
Yeah.
I felt at the beginning like, oh no, I'm getting, smothered and pressured, but they're very understanding that you have to let it grow little by little sometimes, some of us inside. So you said it's going to be a new growth track starting this month, or
Started last month.
Okay.
The new material bit. What it's really done is they've cut the videos down a little bit, and it's shortened the overall time. They give more time for interaction between the host and the participants. So it's,
could we come in, if I'm here for the 11 o'clock, could I come in for the second week to see what it's all about?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm not.
Yeah. If you want to come in and do a week or do it all over again, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Yeah. I take it every year in September.
Okay.
Whenever they start the new content, I take it even.
So even though you're here running.
Well, I don't run the slides inside. I just check people in and go set
Okay.
prayer at the end.
Okay.
Everybody who hosts prefer to navigate the slides themselves with the iPad that's up there, so I get it all ready to go. I check people in and I go take a seat in the auditorium if I can find one.
Okay, great.
I've done growth track twice, just to make sure that this is there, and they both came out different ones,
Yeah,
but they both
you'll
came
be
out the
amazed.
same.
Your spiritual gifts can
Yeah,
change,
they change.
really.
Yeah,
As you grow, they change.
Mine have changed several times. I've also taken a spiritual gifts test that I was interested in a book on spiritual gifts that was advertised on the First 15 website. It's a daily devotional, and they have their own spiritual gifts test.
Uh-huh.
And I took it, and their spiritual gifts that I have based on that test don't even come up. Well, they come up, but they're like way down the list here, you know. So it's really interesting.
Do you feel comfort with the one you've taken here and where you're being led?
Yeah. I was a bit surprised this last time. I ended up with a lower gift of prophecy, which was kind of surprising to me. But that's, speaking out, but I do feel more, I'm feeling more compelled to speak out whenever I hear people saying, stuff that's wrong. Like my nephew the other day was going home, and he was complaining because he had some boards on his hand. We had to sort of collars freeze him off. Well, he was in some pain for quite a while from the medicine they put on to do it. And he had to play football. Yeah.
Poor Corey.
So his dad was sitting there going, well, those boards, if we let them go, they can turn cancerous on him. And he's like, oh, if God wants me to get cancer, I'll get cancer. I'm like, Corey, God doesn't want bad things for you. You may get cancer, but that's just the result of the sin in the world. That's not God's plan for you is not to have cancer or bad cancer.
Yeah, I know, I used to think things, it's crazy how things change when you really start to know who God is.
Yeah.
Like, hell, he doesn't want you to, this.
Yeah.
We're getting so formal. We actually got tickets instead of everybody having to write their names. Ooh.
Thank you.
Oh, and that book. You had mentioned your cardiologist last week, and I really like Dr. Ovadia and the way he talks, so I thought I'd bring that book in. So you can go ahead and borrow it, take it home, bedtime reading, whatever. I'm not going to do a checkout sheet for my books, but I do want to get them back every time I bring them in eventually. I'm a book junkie. When it comes to what I'm wanting to learn, you can see my stickers, and I had brought this one in for Darren, but he downloaded it to his Kindle, so he didn't need my hard copies. So it's one of Dr. Barry's books. Have you read this book, Leslie? I think.
I do audiobooks, so.
Okay.
So is it on audio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one here.
I remember seeing it.
So.
I never do audiobooks because I seem to understand more when I read it myself.
I'm not a good
My sister's an
reader.
audiobook reader.
Yeah.
Or an audiobook listener.
And see, I get distracted too easy.
Yeah.
When I'm just trying to listen.
I have a credit, so
Lies my doctor
okay.
told me. Yeah.
So far it's very interesting.
Is it?
Talks a lot about that. Yeah, it talks about that cholesterol study in the beginning of it.
And it's not only, he's making very good points. It's not lies doctors intentionally have told us. It's the way they were educated and what was true, believed to be true at that time with medicine. And it has all evolved so much, and they're doing such deeper studies like our cholesterol issues, just to learn. So he covers different topics in this book of things that we were told, things he taught, things he tried himself. He was a 300-pound doctor telling people, eat less, move more, and it wasn't working for him. But he knew they were all cheating on the diet, but meanwhile, he got heavier and heavier. And so he, in like, oh, this doesn't work. And then further investigations, and that's what's led him to where he is and so many other doctors now.
It's kind of, the way he talks about the medical profession, it almost seems like you're in trouble if you don't see, like, specialists who are on the cutting edge of what's going on, because so many family practice doctors don't have time to do the study and stuff, and a lot of them don't have willpower to do it, and on top of it,
Right.
And, because I was thinking, I mentioned to her, any doctors around here that will justify a keto plan, and I've talked to my doctor about being on Atkins before. She didn't discourage me against it, but I kind of want to go off my statin because of all as much because of the side effects of it as much as anything else.
Right.
One of the supplements Dr. Berry recommends taking, I'm on Medicare Advantage. I get so many dollars every 3 months for over-the-counter stuff. I get one of those to get a pill of the 200 milligram CoQ10 through my plan, which is discounted, but it's CVS, so it's already a little higher than Walmart, is $54 for a 109 pill or 108 pills.
For a medication to help offset the statin you're putting into your body.
Like K2 vitamin, and D3 is cheap. You can get that about anywhere, but I don't know about K2. I don't know how expensive that is. I didn't even look that up. I just knew I bought some CoQ10 through them before because I heard that the statins go over your CoQ10.
I hate to disappoint you, but read the labels on those too. A lot of your vitamins are packed with soybean oil, added sugars, and other things that your body won't even break down. You'll just poop them out. It'll just go right through you. It's really interesting even getting into that. How minute the little studies can be on this. Yeah, so.
And they were talking in the video I watched on stevia and fasting that some of those, like sucralose, is used in a lot of medications too, and stuff. And it's like of all the sweeteners they studied, sucralose and saccharin, which they tested, which I guess because sweet low is still sold. I don't know anybody who uses it.
Who should be.
But those two have the two biggest insulin hits to your blood.
And
Straight out. Even aspartame's got such a bad rap here lately. It's hit as well. It's the same as stevia, which I've had there as considered a bad rap. It got there for a while.
I have found it. I wear a continuous glucose monitor, even though I'm not diabetic. I like to, I'm monitoring, and I've been doing this is the second month now, just monitoring what else causes my blood sugar to go up and down throughout the course of the day or at night, and what of the artificial sugars, which ones spike me and which ones don't, et cetera, et cetera. And I used the Jordan Skinny Syrup, and my blood sugar will just stay the same place. I was showing Darren earlier my monitor, and it came up like 2 points when we ate dinner tonight. And then when I took a shower, it went up like 3 points. So but other than that, it's running right about the same all for the whole afternoon, evening of having it on.
What did the shower raise it for?
Just the way my body responded,
Yeah.
to the heat or the relaxation. You can see right here,
wow.
there is a 3-hour
Mhm.
window. So there's a 1 hour. See, I came in and look at talking to you
Oh,
guys.
yep, yeah.
It's 105. It was 100 earlier.
We're so sweet.
Oh yeah, you guys are all so sweet. But, and I pick it up on my phone, and you can turn it, and you can see
Yeah,
up to
okay.
24 hours at a
Wow.
time of what your blood sugar is actually running with a 5-minute delay.
Okay.
So it's interesting
Yeah.
to see what does cause.
What company is that?
This is Dexicom,
Okay.
and you get a prescription from your doctor for it.
I've heard of some companies like on the internet. I didn't know.
Yeah, and matter of fact, Dr. Savez wrote me the prescription
okay.
to get
I
it.
figured he was the one who gave it to you.
Yeah, he didn't give it to me.
Well, I meant the person.
Yeah.
I figured you probably had a hard time getting your regular provider.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Hey, can I have a
CGM
Yeah.
without being diabetic.
My regular doctor here had said, he's a new doctor to me because my doctor is no longer in the system. I don't know total details, but he said he'll go along with whatever I want to do as long as I'm keeping myself healthy. He was okay with keto. Did my blood work. First phone call I get from them is they want to send in a prescription for statins. So I had to respectfully decline that I will not take them. What more can I say? It's my body, it's my choice. And he didn't decide not to be my doctor. So we'll see what happens in a couple of months when I have to go back. But, okay, we got all formal here and we got all pretty green tickets. Okay. 1 in 4 chance, because Ken doesn't get to go in on this drawing. Okay.
We're gonna go the last two, 04.
Emily, is it rigged?
Is it?
I don't know.
No, it was an honest drawing. I gotta keep bribing you guys so you all come back for more Easy Peasy Keto. So, a shaker bottle and some keto chow mixes. And you go in and look at Keto Chow's website, and we'll be seeing Chris and Miriam this weekend too. And there's all kinds of, your nerdy friend, techno. And they normally do all the recording of the different conventions, et cetera, we attend, so it's kind of nice. But there's all kinds of recipes of different ways to make that and use it in different foods.
Pecan sticky bun.
That one you will want. The recipe, the instructions on the back is for either butter or heavy whipping cream, because you do need to mix them with fats because there are fat soluble vitamins in there. When I have found, I like any of those because I'll use all 3 of those as my coffee creamer. And each one of those is supposed to be a meal replacement. But I'll use it in my coffee creamer and I'll mix them with the butter. But I like to, instead of just doing it in the shaker bottle, I'll do it in the blender and warm the butter and then use warm water, good warm water, and really blend it up. I mix a couple at a time, then pour them in the shaker bottle, put them, that way the butter incorporates better. But those are so much better with butter than the heavy whipping cream. But, so let's see, any other questions? Next week, we're thinking we're going to do a little discussion and find what information we can about cancer and what the keto lifestyle can help us with that. And I had mentioned last week, it's like if life is not emotional for me, it's an emotional subject. We both lost our previous spouses to cancer. And since we've been together, I lost my sister to cancer. And could have we helped? But we wouldn't be here today. That was God's plans. But if we could help educate what cancer really feeds on. So,
be here next week, but that's watch the video, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yes. Yeah, because my friend wanted me to join the pickleball group with her. And she can only go every other week, so I thought, I'm gonna at least come here every week. So,
You were at the ladies retreat the last time.
yeah.
yes, oh, it was amazing. Cool. It was amazing. I
There-
would suggest if you can go, it'll, pardon?
I should have sent that.
No, she was here and won the prize.
They did things. They had like axe throwing, you could make s'mores, you could do like a hand scrub. They had a raffle. A lady actually from our church won it. And they had a yeah, it was just all the guys serving the ladies. So I served at it. But I loved it. So.
But you do like a coffee room stuff.
No, I actually help with women's groups and I'm a lobby host. I just kind of help wherever, to be
I
honest.
see.
Sometimes I just drink a lot of coffee, so I'll stand there. So it seems like I do. Yeah. So.
Well, the next thing I had on my list was after Darren was Leslie, other information, words of wisdom. It looks like you were already sharing with us.
Oh, I don't know about words of wisdom, but.
That's the name of her online group that maybe you'd be interested in.
Soul Fuel? Soul Fuel?
Soul Fuel, yeah. Yeah, and she sends out those words that I need.
Well, I'm glad. I was actually thinking about not doing it, but as long as it's helping someone.
So, okay, Ken, do you want to close in prayer?
Yes. Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us join here tonight. Let us take home, we came here to learn. Let us take home the things that you instilled in every one of us, some good things that the doctor has shared, both of them, and what I've learned also from you guys. Please let us have safe journeys going home. And Lord, I always pray to you. Amen.
Amen. This coming week, does anybody have any questions, concerns, worries, anything you want us to pray about with you? And I have a few things to share that I want to reach out and ask you guys. My granddaughter's getting married this weekend in Indiana, and I was not invited to the wedding. It's hurting in my heart, but there's a reason for it. So, but we are going to Kentucky. And we got pulled from here, we're going there. There's got to be good reasons for it. But my heart hurts. And Monday I'll be seeing my son and daughter-in-law and 3 grandkids from Alaska. We're meeting them in Toledo. They're going from Indiana, where the wedding is, to the East Coast. And so we're going to go up and meet with them. So there's good. And we're having a few personality conflicts in our merging families, as Ken rolls his eyes. So, challenges. Pray for us, please. Pray for peace. What about you guys? Darren's seeing the doctor.
Talking to her, hopefully she won't be too upset with me for what I'm wanting to do. I know, I mentioned, I talked to her about it on Facebook before, so I said anything about that, and it was on the features for the Atkins, but our keto, that it was back on the popular keto. Hopefully she won't do upset. I'll try to talk to her about taking out my statins, so she'll know patient, she won't be upset with me if I try to tell her I don't want it. I saw in one video, they said that somebody rejected their statin, and they said the doctor said that they had an insurance company about it. I saw in the comments on one video, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm on the HMO version of Medicaid or Medicare Advantage, so I don't know if that would, upset my insurance.
You can always take the prescription, walk out with it, and drop it in the nearest trash can. I'm not offering any kind of medical advice, but,
This is what's weird. I get notification, I get my meds from Walmart, I get notifications whenever they're ready to refill a lot of times. I was getting notifications and I wasn't refilling them because I had a surplus, because you can refill them like 5 days or so before you get them. And my insurance provider called, like, why aren't you getting your prescription refilled? I was like, well, I've got like a full refill extra here at home. They told me, well, and if that happens, you should just throw away the ones you got and go ahead and get the new ones in case there's a recall on them or something. You've got good pills.
who do they work for? Where do they get their money? When you have to look at big food and big pharma and how they're all tied together.
Yeah, what worried me is if they would say, okay, now, you gotta go find another one, because I stick with the HMOs because our co-pays are lower and there's no deductible, and I need that in my financial situation.
Right.
That's like, I would like to contact Dr. Siwas and talk to him about, I'm a self-diagnosed pre-diabetic, and I'd like to talk to him about some stuff, but I'm 99% sure he's out of my plan, which would kick me into probably $400 or $500 deductible. I'm not sure I have to get up. And then 80/20 coverage, for his televisits, and he's a specialist, so that's a higher chunk of change than just a regular standard family doctor. So it would end up cost me quite a bit of money to just
Keep doing
consulting me.
Keep doing your research. You're consulting with, even though they're not offering you medical advice. We are all consulting with all of these doctors, and the numbers, it's hard to go against what is the new information out there over the last, these doctors, 10, 20 years, they've been practicing it. So not only, picking up your prescription and dropping it in the trash can, like I've heard doctors and other people say, some of them have to go ahead for those reasons and get them filled. But whether it's going into their body or not.
I wouldn't mind filling that one because I think it's free at Walmart anyways.
Okay, so your insurance company.
I think it's free. I could fill it. I want to check the numbers because I don't want her, start jacking up, okay, well, now we got to put you on a more powerful statin, and more powerful statin, and I'm not taking them, and she's like, what's going on here, eventually it's going to come out.
Yes.
That's the thing that would concern me. That's why I want to check my numbers whenever I get
My bottom line.
my blood work back up and monitor it and stuff.
Is my body is my business. And I have to take care of it. I have spent all these years not taking care of it. And so I am learning so different, and that's why I have to pass the word on. So, and if you get your lab results, if you want to go through them and talk about them in more detail, we can, and do more research. So.
I can tell you that Dr. Westman, I heard him talk this before too, one of his teachers and good colleagues was Dr. Atkins.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot when you watch Dr. Westman's, a lot of it, keto come from Atkins diet.
The revision to the Atkins diet back, I can't tell you, 20, 25 years ago, his name is in on it. He worked with Dr. Atkins on that revision. And so he's gone from there, evolved to where he is today in his teachings. As more science comes out there, knowing what the cholesterol even is and all the little breakdowns of fluffy and hard and, it's all the different things floating around in your body. So
It's kind of amazing that the Atkins plan for their induction is essentially the keto diet.
it is, yeah.
Maybe carbs are fewer.
Well,
Leafy greens.
the one doctor bringing up the book from 1923, before they had metformin and all these other medications to give you, they had people eating low carb. But once all the big pharma came about and it's like, oh, this pill will work, this injection will work, take this, take that, give me your money, gimme.
You're saying snake oil back then is just transformed into fancy snake oil?
Yeah, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
Well, they sell you the sugar items and then they sell you the medication for it. Same companies.
So,
I do have a prayer though, if you
oh,
would just
please.
keep my daughter and the Bluffton College, because they found someone who committed suicide
Oh, no.
last night. So they're just kind of all freaked out. They don't know if it was a student, staff member, a random person. They're still investigating it, but they got a crime scene. It's very traumatic for college kids, and she's kind of scared, which understandably so. We went up and had lunch with her today, so.
She's a freshman at Bluffton.
Yeah. So, it's just kind of a bummer.
Okay, thank you for that.
And for us, we thought we would be in a place today, and the landlord wasn't done with it yet. So the appointment's on Monday, so a few more days, and hopefully we'll be moved in.
Okay, good. For the holidays, something to really
It'll be nice.
all settled into a place. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you at Growth Track we won't be here this Sunday because we're going to be gone, but the following week, I'm really thinking maybe I want to, after our 9:00 service, stick around and do Growth Track. See how I've evolved.
Well, if you have your book that you guys done and you go back and, because I feel like your spiritual gifts have.
She's such a mind reader.
Stacy, you're funny. I gave her the hardest time. She gives me the hardest time. So, too funny. But I'm curious to see if they have changed.
I know I can just look at myself and how I have evolved in this not even 2.5 years.
Yeah. I can testify to that.
So.
Yeah, good stuff. Doing life together all day.
There's